I had a hobby too. Mine happened to be guns and ballistics, and I studied guns and ballistics as much as I could, and I wrote an article about high velocity.
So out of all my years working at Weatherby, the last 5 have been some of the most exciting. Working with Adam, with him running the company.
And to think that I get the opportunity of carrying on my grandfather's legacy 75 years later here in Sheridan, Wyoming, I mean, it really is a dream come true.
Oh, I'm home. Thank God I'm home.
On our mark, the Weatherby Podcast.
Welcome back to On Our Mark, the Weatherby Podcast. We're talking about the 6.5 Weatherby RPM today. In our podcast studio, we've got Tyler Grayton, Mack, Winzenburg, and Jared Smethurst.
Howdy.
Hi, guys.
Howdy.
Welcome back to the podcast.
It's good to be here.
Hey, Mack,
Yes, sir.
tell me about the 6.5 RPM.
The 6.5 Weatherby RPM. Well, to start, it was launched and developed in 2019. It was one of our sorry.
I've got, it was developed in 2018 and 2019, and we launched it in 2019.
No.
I know that because I came on in 2018 and got to help on the development of this one.
He just wanted to do
I did
that.
just
He
wanted to
did.
say
He
that.
wanted to do the backup thing. He wanted to be like, "Oh, this is when we launched it," but let's talk about all the work before we launched it.
Well, I wasn't. Most of us have not been around for the majority of the Weatherby cartridges, so to be a part of it, like Jared, you were here during the development of 6.5 RPM.
Oh, yeah.
Mac, you were.
That was the tail end.
You were on the tail end.
Yeah. I'm not an engineer either, so I didn't do much of that. I just took pictures of it.
Okay. So it was really fun to be a part of the development of this one. And so the whole ethos of this cartridge, I totally teed you up just to cut you off. It was totally on purpose.
I want to get this in. It stands for Rebated Precision Magnum.
That is what it stands for. And a lot of people are like, you already have the fastest 6.5 with the 6.5 300. Why do another 6.5? Well, I will tell you why. We purpose-built the 6.5 RPM for our 6-lug action. We actually have a previous podcast on a combo of the 6.5 RPM and the original backcountry, which launched when we originally announced back in 2019. But we purpose-built the 6.5 RPM for our smaller 6-lug action. So a Remington 700's got a short and a long. We have a long and a long, but really like a long fat and a long skinny.
Mm-hmm.
Our 6-lug is that long skinny, so we don't have a big enough throat on our bolt raceway for a Magnum bolt face. So the reason we rebated the rim is so that's basically the biggest rim that we can grab on a cartridge in the 6-lug action.
470.
What's that?
Sorry.
Oh, the actual diameter?
The actual diameter is 470, so it's the same thing as like
I thought you just had
6.
Tourette's.
One better than the 460 new cartridge.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the amount of the back of the rim that we're able to grab.
And it is the first Weatherby cartridge to ever feature a rebated rib.
Right. So there's a lot different about this cartridge. It's not belted. It's got a rebated rim, and it does not have the kind of what Weatherby has been known for was that double radius shoulder. So initially, a lot of people were like, "Why'd you guys do this stupid cartridge?"
I think people are coming around and understanding, though.
I can't remember if I talked about this before on the podcast or not. I feel like I did, but I'm going to do it again. So Kurt Rackicott, who started and is he has since sold it to Vista Outdoor, but was the owner and starter of Stone Glacier. He's one of the most hardcore sheep hunters that I know. Like, we announced this on like a Thursday. On a Thursday afternoon, I didn't know who Kurt was at the time. Kurt calls and it's like, "You guys have done it." We don't know who Kurt is. And we're like, "What have we done, Kurt?" And he's like, "You've made the ultimate sheep cartridge. I've been wondering when Weatherby was going to do this. You fit, basically, you've got Magnum performance and this incredibly lightweight option, lightweight rifle package." And so when we released this with the Backcountry TI, we had a 4.8, 4.9 pound rifle that's pushing a 140 grain projectile, like 3,100 somewhere in there. Like there's nothing like it. The previous super lightweight rifles were shooting Creedmoors and 308, so not necessarily Magnum performance. So the whole ethos of the 6.5 RPM is it's a cartridge meant for a lightweight rifle to still deliver Magnum performance.
Yeah, it is the most Magnum you can fit into a standard bolt face. So it's a good way to look at it.
Yep. So all the differences, it's not the fastest 6.5. We got the 6.5 300, but
But that doesn't mean
like
it's slow.
That's what I was about to say. It's still like a top 4. So I guess in order of like speed from top to bottom would be a 6.5 300. Oh man, I just blanked on what this
26 Nosler.
26 Nosler, and then
You're gonna have a PRC.
264 Win Mag would be really close-ish. But
that's a
it's
Magnum bolt face.
Oh, Magnum bolt face.
The closest ballistically would probably be a 6.5 284 Norma, but we're substantially faster because the
More
most
case
of the
capacity.
dimensions on that case are the same. We're just longer. So we're like third or fourth. So we're still fast, and then right, we're just barely faster than a 6.5 PRC.
Yeah,
Which
is a
will fit in a
Magnum
different
bolt
action.
face.
Magnum bolt face. So
Yeah.
we get a lot of that question. Why 6.5 RPM versus 6.5
Because the
PRC?
PRC existed at that time,
It
and
did.
obviously, and there was like, why didn't you just chamber it in this? It's
Right.
like, well, because
we couldn't.
yeah,
We really wanted to put it in that 6-lug action, and so basically you save a pound. And that's the difference. The overall dimensions of the gun don't change that much, except you save a pound because there's a lot less metal in the receiver itself. The bolt's skinnier. The bolt body is actually skinnier too because the raceway or the throat of the receiver is skinnier.
So I have a quick question since I wasn't here and you were like during the development. So with it being kind of a drastic change from, Weatherby cartridges in general, how did that like approach take off? Was it like, hey, we want to fit it into this, but this is how we get there? Or was there like, man, it doesn't have the, these qualities of Weatherby? What was the pushback internally on that?
It wasn't internal. It was basically exactly what you said at first there is Adam said, hey, we've got this 6-lug action. I want you to get me the most possible performance out of it, and that's what came out. And so usually you're saying, what's the most performance I can get out of a cartridge? This was with the constraint of shooting in the 6-lug action.
Sure. Okay.
So it's a little different than probably a lot of cartridges were designed, but especially ours, because we're just trying to, what's the most possible that we can get out of anything?
I want to go fast.
Want to go fast. Just like Ricky Bobby. But there was really no internal challenges. I think internally, I'm thinking back to the team at the time, like everybody was super excited about it. And whenever bullets go a little slower, same projectiles in 6.5 RPM as 6.5 300. We have the same accuracy guarantee. 6.5 300 is just as accurate, I would say, with air quotes. But I think it's easier to load for. You have more powder options. It's a little more, I guess I'll use the word forgiving in the load development side, because we weren't just trying to eke out every bit of performance out of whatever we could get. We had this volume constraint that gave us more options, I guess. So,
and it's a little more efficient. There's a couple things about it, just like as far as powder and all that. Like, it's a very efficient cartridge. Some of the stuff we've been putting out, the 338 RPM, which we'll do stuff on as well. Like, it's a well-designed case, and it just works. It really just works.
It does. I've been able to spend a lot of time because it came out. It was our main focus for a couple years there, 2019, 2020. So every event that we did with media, every hunt was pretty much featuring that cartridge, and I've spent a lot of time playing with that one, and I love it. It's comparatively, it's low recoil.
Yeah.
Suppressed, it's a
That
dream.
thing's awesome to shoot
Yeah,
suppressed.
it's awesome.
And you can shoot a lot with it. I mean, there are people, plenty of people who have taken elk with this cartridge. So deer, antelope, anything like that, fine. Also suppressed. We took this on a couple hunts. I can't remember if we had any success or not due to the cartridge, but suppressed for coyote hunting, that is like a awesome little round for taking the oats.
I believe I shot the first coyote with a 6.5 RPM of anybody alive. Just wanted to say that out loud. Yeah. And
Put it in Guinness, ladies and gentlemen.
That was suppressed. That was out at Pete's place.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah,
and shout out to Pete. Yeah, the coyote didn't go anywhere, and there was only one coyote, so I can't remember, if there was another coyote, if you could get a second shot. But yeah, that just dropped him. That's a decently long shot, I think, for a dog, like 380, something like that.
It's a good round for it, though.
Yeah, I got to take that on a caribou hunt to Alaska. Did some Texas mouflon aoudad with RPM. Biggest I've personally killed was a caribou. But man, Brian Call and Ryan Lampers, I don't know if you've watched any of their bear footage with 6.5 RPM. Oh my, they've got some of the most incredible kill shots.
Those guys also don't just kill bears. When you say bear, you just think of a bear. Like the black bears that those guys shoot are like the size of a Volkswagen. They're like big animals. It's impressive.
Yeah, if you're listening, look up the gritty. They did a Montana bear hunt 2 years ago with 6.5 RPM, and they have footage of hitting this bear and it tumbling down a cliff. It's amazing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that video.
It's epic.
Good one.
Yeah.
Had that on repeat.
It's
only
watched it 3 or 4 times.
It's almost bear season here in Wyoming, so we're getting a little geared up here.
Yeah, but a 6.5 300 too. It's king of speed, but man, if you want to go to the range and have fun, I mean, you heat up a barrel so fast.
Much more suited for range duty.
Yeah, 6.5.
Still
RPM.
not ideal. Still not ideal for range duty, but better. If you wanted something that you could kind of have a better hunting performance than a Creedmoor.
Oh, for sure.
RPM's kind of I think perfect little spot.
Yeah. It's a well balanced cartridge. Has a lot of, even in an AccuMark, it'd be I think it'd be a great range gun, but or it can be extremely lightweight with a backcountry. When you pick them up side by side, it's kind of absurd the difference between a Mark V Magnum action versus the 6-lug. It's really substantial.
I love doing that at shows. We'll carry the titanium or the steel version of the backcountries, and people will come up to the booth and they'll pick up a gun, and it'll be a 300 Weatherby Magnum action backcountry. And then I'll be like, oh, that's the heavy one. They're like, this is the heavy one? Yeah. And then you go and hand them the 6-lug, and they're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that reaction it doesn't get old. It's so fun.
No.
It's so fun. I'm going to see if this works.
Cartridge Wars.
Oh, it's kind of quiet.
Cartridge Wars.
I can fix that.
The 6.5 as just a general family, 264s.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them.
There's a ton now. Yeah.
I think it was said when we launched it, just what we needed, another 6.5. I think we proved our case. We purpose built it for our action. But here's my question. This is for Jared, I think. Jared, why are there so many 6.5s? There's just so many.
Because there's a lot of ammunition manufacturers, I think is probably the best way to go. But it's the 6.5 started. The most popular cartridge that's been around forever was the 6.5 55 Swede, which is still in Europe a huge cartridge. But I think as it kind of came over to America, Remington tried with the 260 Remington, didn't take off. It really kind of floundered, and that's probably because of twist rate, and the barrel was slower, and they just didn't really know how to market it, I don't think. And then with a Creedmoor, things just exploded. So the Creedmoor really people just and making absurd claims about it. It's a really good middle of the road cartridge if you're trying to be lightweight, recoiling, and decently flat shooting. Yeah, but it doesn't make it
it's ethically lethal to 375 yards.
Yeah, you're really not.
Which if you're a white-tailed deer hunter or whatever, in the
sure.
Midwest, Southeast, whatever,
sure.
Yeah, and it's readily available. So it's got that going for it. It's not a total bash.
Yeah, a lot of the hype though is just absurdly incorrect about it. Oh man, that Creedmoor's a way better cartridge than that. I've heard like 270 Weatherby or something. And I'm like, no, not even close.
Empirically,
math.
let me tell you why you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's there's a joke online where it's like, what's the best elk cartridge and why is it a 6.5 Creedmoor? Because you're not going to talk that guy out of it.
The forums and the Facebook
Yeah.
groups, they are fun.
And that's kind of why I think, Hornady really wanted to push the PRC too, was like people were, I think, having kind of issue too with some like hunting with a Creedmoor and having really unrealistic expectations of what it's going to do. And people say, I've heard before.
I've heard some horror stories of
Oh, yeah.
people thinking it's a 500-700 yard cartridge and sending it, and then they weren't happy with the results, which is just unfair to the animals for shooting.
Absolutely. So, with a 6.5 PRC, it's a lot faster, and the 6.5 RPM a little bit faster than that too. So, there's a ton of 6.5s out there currently, and I think that there's a little bit of 6.5 fatigue. People are realizing, they're like, oh, there's like other things out there that are, out in the space, between like, 270s and 7 mils and everything else.
Yeah.
Are some of the advantages though of that 6.5 is just like bullet selection, high BCs, right? That's a lot of
I think
marketing behind
you're
the high BCs and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just all marketing. I think there's some truth to it. I mean, you can get a very high BC 6.5 bullet because of basically just the cross-sectional shape. And I don't want to get like crazy nerdy with engineering because I can't. But the length and diameter of the bullet are kind of optimal for high BC. I don't know how to say it better than that.
Yeah. Well, so before people started chasing BC, so BC is ballistic coefficient. So that basically means, how slippery a bullet is in the atmosphere. So if you're talking about...
I've never heard anybody say slippery with BC, but that's a great way to say it.
Yeah.
That's a great way to say it.
So you have like internal ballistics, which is in your barrel, external ballistics, which is in the atmosphere, and terminal ballistics.
I like it.
So, yeah, if you're not chasing ballistic coefficient and you're just producing bullets, people are, forever, one's just going to be generally a little better than the others. And that's kind of where it started, was people were like, oh, hey, this 26 cal flies just a little bit sleeker, slipperier. And then people, and then it kind of ran with that of like, oh wow, the longer, skinnier, more slender bullets we can go, you can really like lengthen effective cartridge range. So now people have taken that to the nth degree, which BC is just a number. I mean, but and it helps
kind
a
of
lot
like
of
age.
things.
It's just a number.
But
It's all relative.
but
That's tough.
That is tough.
yeah, there's way more. It's BC is just one of many factors, and it's not everything. Like energy, that's way more important than than your BC. Terminal performance is way more important than how it flies in the atmosphere.
It's just a calculation basically. BC is important if you're shooting really far and you want to carry that energy as far as possible, but it's not the whole story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've become really fond of the 130 Sirocco in the 6.5 RPM. I took it on an event down to Texas where I met Tyler actually a couple years ago, and we had everybody shooting a 130 Sirocco. And so it's a Texas deer hunt. You're in a stand at a feeder, and so basically everybody's shooting 150 yards ish, and me and everybody was like, the damage that this has done to these deer is remarkable.
That event was so much fun because I actually wasn't hunting, so it was like every time that I jumped stands to go sit with someone else, someone killed something. So
Right.
it was everyone's like, Tyler, you're coming with me because we got to watch so many things die. But no, that was the kind of my first introduction to 6.5 RPM, and it's now I've killed 3 or 4 different animals here at Weatherby with it. So pretty slick cartridge, and just even messing around with the potential of doing an NRL hunter type round where it's this is a good crossover from hunting and shooting. It's the same setup. So if you want to do NRL to be a better shooter for hunting, I think that'd be a fun one to make, because then, like, if you're shooting a Creedmoor, it's like what we just talked about. It might not be actually effective for the hunting side. So maybe better if you're super competitive, but
it's a great cartridge for the NRL Hunter or any of the PRS hunting games. Not like pure PRS, but if you're doing like the hunting division.
Because at each stage, you're only going to shoot up to 8 rounds. So, like, you're not going to have, like, getting too hot on your barrel stuff. But, like, some of the more PRS would be, 10 plus. So, yeah, for the NRL Hunter division, that'd be...
And so if you're not familiar with the Hunter division, it's usually like 3 targets per stage, unknown distance. And actually, I think you're supposed to go into the stage blind to where you have to locate by yourself.
Yeah, you have binos, you have to range it. So, yep.
So that extra velocity is when you're hurried, and the targets are meant to be kind of hidden too. So if you're ranging a little before or a little beyond on accident with an RPM, you're going to get a little more forgiveness than, say, a Creedmoor.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, if you were to go with one cartridge and one load, if for hunting and the matches, like the NRL matches, the 130 Scirocco's are awesome.
Yeah.
But,
and it should fall, depending, you can chrono it, but it should fall right below that threshold that they have on the power factor.
3150 is
and there,
and there's
3200.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. And then it doesn't even go subsonic until like 1,850 yards, which isn't still insane. So that is...
Where are we losing... where's our 1,800 feet per second and 1,200 foot-pounds?
Oh, let's see here.
Ooh, with the 130 Scirocco, I feel like I was looking at this. I think it's
so
650?
I can't remember.
700?
No, 800.
800.
Yeah. Wow. It has 1,248 foot-pounds of energy at 800. And... 2,000 velocity still at 2,000.
So it's got plenty of juice for
juice.
Pretty much anybody.
Basically anybody, yeah.
But the reason we launched it with the original backcountry is we were trying to build the ultimate backcountry, the ultimate sheep gun. And
I'll be bold. I won't say we tried.
I think we did it.
I think we did it.
I like it. I like your style, Mac. I like your style. So another really interesting bullet.
Kurt thinks we did it.
Yeah, Kurt thinks we did it. Shout out to
He's
Kurt.
killed more sheep than me, so.
Yeah.
He's killed more sheep than all of us.
Combined, for sure. We also started recently loading the 124 hammer in the 6.5 RPM, and that's a little faster than 3150. I don't know the exact velocity off the top of my head.
31.9.
No.
I feel like it's 32.75, but I might be wrong on that.
Jared's got it. Just got
3250.
Well done. So that's a really good option for a mono copper bullet, which we've been playing with the hammer bullets for basically a couple years now, and nothing but impressed. Those have been awesome. What are the other offerings there? You got the list, Jared?
Yeah. So in 6.5 RPM, you have 124 grain hammer. You also have 127 grain Barnes LRX.
Good option.
Yeah. 130 Swift Scirocco, and the 140 Hornaday interlock. So also the 140 Nosler AccuBonds, if we have any of those. So
projectiles have been hard to come by.
Yeah,
real hard to come by. But if you were, we launched originally with I think 3 SKUs: the 127 LRX, the 140 interlock, and the 140 AccuBond. If you were part of that initial group, if you were shooting an AccuBond before, that 130 Scirocco is a fantastic alternative. I think it's a very, very good bonded bullet, like really, really good. And I bet I've seen a couple dozen animals fall to the 130 Scirocco at this point, and it's very fast death. Very fast death. So, and that's what you want. So, man, if you don't have a 6.5 Weatherby RPM and you're looking for your next lightweight backcountry or front country rifle, the 6.5 RPM is worth a look. Check it out. Learn more at weatherby.com today.